Well, good afternoon. My name is Fenton Ang, and we are thrilled to be able to host the recording of today's CD as part of the tool system for Worldwide Dream Builders. You know, when I first started my career as an independent business owner, I had a lot of fears, but one of my greatest fears was the fear of rejection. And then through the training and mentorship of the people that I've worked with and some of the CDs that have been put out, I realized there was a difference between rejection and objections. Objections were simply people looking for clarification. And what's great about today is we're going to have the chance to learn from one of the best that Worldwide has trained. He's been financially free since 1991 and has made a living now teaching other people how to do the same thing that he's done. He's homegrown, so Vancouver, let's give it up for Dan Yuen.
Okay, guys, let's get started here. I think this city is a little fired up, huh? Yeah. So, okay, we're excited to be here this afternoon, and I want to welcome everyone here. And let me start off by saying this, is that what an incredible business this business is. And I just welcome everyone aboard. I want to welcome all the new people. I want to welcome, of course, anyone who's even looked at this business and thinking it as an opportunity for them to achieve all their dreams and all their goals. And for those of you who are new, and for those of you who are listening to the CD for the very first time, you know, Sandy and I, when we started this business, we were in our mid-20s. We were excited about our future. We tried working hard in the corporate world, tried to climb up the corporate ladder and try to get ahead financially, but it just seems like the harder we worked, the less money we made, you know. And so we looked at an opportunity, and I got to tell you that this opportunity helped us to retire financially free. We haven't worked now. I'm celebrating my 20 full years of retirement this December, and so you know, what an opportunity that is. And we want that for all of you. But I have to let you know that anything worthwhile to accomplish in life is going to require some effort and going to require some work. And one of the things that you're going to need to do, of course, to build your business, to expand your opportunity, of course, is to talk to other people. The way this business grows is by adding businesses to your business. And the only way you can do that is approaching and talking to people and sharing this dream and sharing this opportunity with others out there. But one of the things that many people, of course, are afraid of is talking to other people because they're afraid of either being objected or being afraid of a response that they're going to get back. And so today what I want to do is cover probably one of the most exciting areas about building your business, and that's facing objections. Now, facing objections is a given in this business, all right? You can't run away from them. Every one of you, if you're going to build this business, if you talk to people, you're going to get some objections that you're going to come up with. Now, I got to tell you this, is that I want you to embrace these objections and look at them as an opportunity to help build your business and make it that much stronger. Now, what is the definition of an objection? If you look up in the dictionary, it says it's an expression of disapproval or an opposition of something with a reason. So today what I want to cover is the most common objections that most of you are going to hear, and I'm going to prepare you how to answer those. Now, it's been well over 20 years now. We've been involved in this business, and through not only our own experience, but getting feedback from many leaders in this organization, I've narrowed it down because of the time limit that we have. What are the most common objections that you're going to face? So before I actually jump into those, let me tell you there's 3 points I want to clarify right up front, or let you know right up front, and these are the following points. Number 1, never take an objection personally, okay? Because an objection is not a rejection, and there's a difference here. A rejection is aimed at you, but an objection is aimed at the business opportunity that you're sharing with them. See? So there's a difference. So don't ever take an objection personally. Point number 2 you need to know is most people that you will run into when you're prospecting and talking to people about the business, they will think they know more about this business than you do. Now, how can that be? I mean, think about that. How can they know more than you? In most cases, like 99.9%, they don't know more than you. You are a trained, independent business owner. And what they are doing is they're just making assumptions, okay? So when you come across an objection, remember that most prospects won't know what you already know. And then finally, point number 3, before we get started in the objections here, is the first objection that you're going to get will probably be a fake. So when you show someone the plan, if you introduce the business to them, and the first objection you hear out of their mouth, in most cases is not the real reason why they're not going to do this. According to Frank Betcher, for those of you who had an opportunity to read his incredible book, he's the author of How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success, which is, by the way, my favorite book of the entire book list. Here's what he says. He says 62% of the time, the first objection you get is not the real one. which means only 38% of the time is the real objection given the very first time. So what does that mean? That means when you get an objection from a potential guest or potential IBO, the odds are 2 to 1. The first objection is not the real reason why. The late J.P. Morgan said it this way. He said, a man generally has 2 reasons for doing something. One that sounds good and the real one. All right? And so our goal, we're going to show you how by asking over and over again, okay, how the real objection will really come out. And therefore, you're able to answer that objection and help them overcome whatever objection that they have in order to make that decision. So to summarize these 3 points, never take an objection personally. Most prospects think they know more than you about the business than you do. And 2 out of 3 times, the first objection that you're going to get is not the real reason why that they're objecting. So with that in mind, I want you to take objections as an opportunity to educate the public, to educate the people that you're talking to so they can get the real facts and the real answers to what this incredible business is all about. Okay? So with that, let's get started. Okay? Number 1. The most common objection that all of you are going to hear more than anything else is when you show someone this business is, I'm too busy, I don't have the time. That is the number 1 objection you're going to hear. And you know why that's the number 1 objection? It's the easiest excuse to give you to get rid of you, even if they do have the time, right? And you know why that is? Because we live in a hectic and busy society that is easily accepted that people are always too busy to add any more onto their plate. So they use it as an excuse. And people will throw this excuse out left and right with never any reason why, thinking that you're going to just go, oh, okay, well, if you're too busy, that's it then, and they don't pursue it. So how do I respond, folks? I agree with them. Because I'm busy too. Hey, I'm a busy guy. And I'll say something like, when someone tells me that they're too busy, I'll say, hey, I totally understand. I'm a busy guy too. But is your busyness getting you what you want out of life? So I challenge them. I'm not going to let them give me a little wimpy excuse. I'm too busy when we all have the same amount of time, right? And not at least ask them. And I'll ask them in a really nice but challenging way, are you busy and productive or are you just busy? Right? And if you don't change what you're doing right now, do you see yourself getting any less busier in the future? And you see, folks, here's the thing about whenever you get an objection, the easiest way to answer an objection is common sense. Common sense will get you by every time. You see, people always would say when they don't have the time because of, when people say, well, I don't have the time. Well, people who always say they don't have the time because of what they do must realize that what they are doing is the reason why they don't have the time. What they are doing isn't effective or isn't efficient. Have you ever heard the saying, if you can't do it in 8 hours, you're doing it wrong? Talk to these people all the time that, I got this job, I got 14 hours a day is not enough for me to do it. Well, you're doing it wrong, right? You want something that you're doing to own your life? The funny thing is this, is that a recent study that I read about Europeans, the average European takes 6 weeks of vacation. When they hear about us North Americans taking 2 weeks, they laugh their heads off, thinking like, what a bunch of crazy people. Well, why would you take 2 weeks when you should be taking 6 weeks? Do you know in most European nations that employers give their employees 6 weeks of paid vacation? Because it's a norm. But here we're like we're working so hard, I gotta work, I can't do it in 50 weeks in a year. Right? We're doing it wrong. And most of the time, folks, when people say they don't have the time, in their minds, if actually they don't, most of the time it isn't a time issue, it's a lack of mentorship in prioritizing their schedule. No one ever taught them how to be time efficient, right? No one ever taught them about time management. And I know I've heard it, someone said, I asked someone, I says, have you ever had an opportunity to take a time management course? And they say, no, I've never found the time, right, to do that. So everyone has the same amount of time, 24 hours in a day, right? It doesn't matter, you, me, every one of us has 24 hours a day. So why is it that some people live a better lifestyle than others? Why can some people accomplish more in the same 24 hours than we can accomplish? Because it isn't the time. It's what you do with your time that determines what kind of lifestyle that you can live. So if you're truly so busy that there's no light at the end of the tunnel and you're working 2-3 jobs and you have 9 kids, and you have all these things, okay, that keep you so busy, then you know what you need to do? Then you need to find a vehicle that's going to free up some hours in your life. Because remember, how long could you physically work before you physically burn yourself out? 17 hours a day, 7 days a week? I mean, realistically, if someone works 17 hours a day, 7 days a week, how many years could they keep that up? And what good is all that if you don't have the time to really enjoy the things you would love to enjoy? Whether it's spending time with your family members or donating your time to charities or helping other people, whatever it is that you want to do. So sometimes, though, just for fun, when someone tells me I don't have the time, this is when I'm in the discussion mode, okay? And I might just say something like, so was that your goal? And people go, well, what do you mean? I said, well, if you're so busy when you started your career, whatever it is that you're doing for a living right now or whatever your job is, was your goal to be so busy that you don't even have time to look at other options? Was that your goal? And usually it stumps them right away because no one's ever asked them, was that my goal? Yeah, can you imagine? Yeah, my mission in life is to be so busy I can't make my own decisions. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I said, well, what if I could show you how to leverage your time and add more hours to your day? Would you then make the time to at least listen to that? Are you too busy to get unbusy? Because the only vehicle that I know that can truly give you more time is a vehicle that will help you leverage time. And this concept really is duplication. Okay? So, you see, folks, I don't take the excuse, I'm too busy, lightly, without at least challenging them and getting them to think about it. Okay? So being too busy is not a good enough reason. Because I know people who are as busy as you, and they're still building it. I know people who have more jobs than you, more kids than you, who are still successful at this business. And so let me wrap up with that. As far as the excuse of being too busy, well, let me give you an option how to get unbusy. And if you're serious about getting unbusy, you will at least make the time to look at this business. Objection number 2. Isn't this one of those pyramid deals? Have you heard of that one before? Okay. And the answer is no. And when I say no, it's not like no, like not like a wimpy, no. It's no. Like it's like no, you moron. Well, what would make you think of it as a pyramid? And here's a question I ask right after I say no. I say, do you even know what a pyramid is? Because you know what, folks? Most people don't have a clue. Are you referring to the structures in Egypt? Are you talking about the Luxor Hotel down in Las Vegas? Oh, you must be referring to the illegal Ponzi scheme created back in the 1920s by a guy named Charles Ponzi. And you know what? When I give that answer out, they're going, oh, really? Is that how pyramids started? Like, 'cause they don't know idea. Most people haven't even heard of Charles Ponzi. Okay? So, you see, most people have no idea what they're saying when they refer to a pyramid. Because they think they know, but they have no clue. It's amazing how much people actually don't know, but they think they do know until you ask them, until you call them on it. Okay? They see the shape of a pyramid in Egypt and they're automatically mistaken it for our business model. Right? You look at the corporate world today and look at the hierarchy of most corporations in the conventional business world, and that resembles a pyramid much more than we do if you're talking about shapes. Because you got your president, you got your vice president, you got your regional managers, you got your supervisors, you got your laborers, employees, right? Well, guess who makes the most money? The person, you're right, the person right at the top. That's more like a pyramid than what I'm going to share how our business model works, right? And let me ask you this, where all of you work right now, or if you're listening to the CD, let me ask you this question. What is the likely chance you'll ever make as much money as the president for the company you work for? None, right? Unless you married his daughter. And if that's your plan, there could be a little bit of a problem. Number 1, he might not have a daughter. Number 2, he could have one, but she might look like Dr. Phil. You know what I mean? So, what? What? That wouldn't bother you, marrying a daughter that looked like Dr. Phil? She'd be analyzing you all the time. So when people say it's a pyramid, I'll ask them, do you even know what a pyramid is? And in most cases, when they come to the realization that they really have no idea at all, okay, once they realize that, then I explain it to them. Okay? I explained to them what they might be referring to. And here we go, folks. An illegal pyramid has 3 key parameters. Number 1, they are illegal. You will go to jail for running an illegal pyramid. And I won't name the names right now, but as long as I've been in this business, I have seen certain individuals and certain companies have started right up here in the lower mainland, all across the nation, that actually ran illegal pyramids, have been shut down, and owners have actually gone to jail. Point number 2, or parameter number 2 of an illegal pyramid, is really only the top people make most of the money. And then point number 3 is only cash usually flows through a pyramid system. There's no actual products are being sold, okay? People bring money in, they get other investors to bring money in, and the person at the top takes that money, okay? So really it's only cash flow. So I'll ask them this, knowing these 3 points, do you think that what I'm bringing to the table is going to be a legal pyramid? Because before you answer, here's a few points you should know about this company, the Amway Corporation that we're talking about. Amway is a global success in over 80 countries and territories around the world today. As of this recording, it just ran shy last year of $10 billion in sales. At the present, right now, you have companies like Sears, Disney Store, Kmart, Best Buy, Avis Rent-A-Car, and other companies have signed agreements to market their product through our Amway business model. Do you think that of all these companies, do you think anyone would align themselves with an illegal pyramid scheme? Right? Sears Corporation put their name side by side with us. Best Buy, they align themselves with our company name. Avis Rent-A-Car is one of the largest car rental companies in the world. These are established corporate Fortune 500 company names. I mean, we're talking like Avis Rent-A-Car, not like Rent-A-Dent or Lease-A-Piece, right? These are major corporations. So you get companies like Kodak, FTD Flores, Shop.com, Franklin Covey, etc., etc., etc. You think of all these companies that I just mentioned, you think if even one of those would have exposed Amway as an illegal pyramid, don't you think we would have figured it out it was a legal pyramid by now? Well, obviously not, because every one of them that I just mentioned became partner stores with us. But I know that maybe you have some concerns about some illegalities of maybe some things that people read. In 1979, the Federal Trade Commission in the U.S. investigated Amway in the U.S. to see if they were or were not an illegal pyramid. Amway is not an illegal pyramid. That's parameter number 1. Second parameter, it says that we talk about the top person making the most money. Well, if you look at our compensation plan, that is not true. If anyone knows how to use a simple calculator, they're going to figure out it can't happen with our bonus structure. So I sit down with people, and it takes me 15 seconds to explain this to them. Amway pays bonuses to independent business owners who do the work, not where they are positioned according to their line of sponsorship, okay? Not what status they have because they pre-bought into a position like other companies allow you to do, okay? They base it on who generated the most volume. And so let's talk about volume here. I mean, I like to use an example of our bonus structure from 0 to 7,500 points, for example, and our bonus structure from 3% to 25%. So just as a simple analogy, so people listening to this CD can do a quick calculation with this. If you generated $4,100 worth of product volume, let's say, or dollar volume, in our bonus structure, you would get 21%. So if you calculate that out, you would get a check for approximately $2,367. So just remember that number, about $2,300, okay? But if you had a downline, so someone you sponsored, and they did 4,000 of your 4,100, so all you did was the 100 outside of the 4,000, here's what would happen. You would get a check for $58, but the person that you sponsored to register in the business, their check would be $2,309. They were below you, you were above them, you got $58, they got $2,309. Which one is bigger? According to Sesame Street, 2,300 is bigger than 100, right? Well, there you go. Where is this saying where the top person makes the most money, right? We just blew that theory out of the water. It took me 30 seconds to explain that one. Parameter number 3 of an illegal pyramid. Only cash flows through an illegal pyramid. In a Ponzi scheme, here's what it is. You're taught to bring in investors or friends or family members to invest, okay, a certain amount of money. So after you take their money and you bring it all in, what you do then is you teach them to go find more friends and family members to invest money in. And the process repeats itself over and over and over. So that was what was happening back in the 20s when Charles Ponzi started getting investors to bring all this money in. And what they would do is they'd bring it all in and they'd teach them to go find another level, bring it in, another level, and go down like 3, 4 levels. And once it got to that point, the top person took all that money, and as long as they kept finding new investors, okay, the Ponzi scheme would actually work as long as it kept on going. But sooner or later, some people wanted their money back and investments back, and when it never came back, the whole thing blew up. Okay? So an illegal pyramid is an illegal pyramid. Parameter number 3, only cash flows through an illegal pyramid. In a Ponzi scheme, you're taught to bring all these people in. The process goes over and over until finally someone is out. Well, that's totally not how our business works. The only money that flows through our business is for actual products and services that are rendered. A business. If you look at our product line, let me tell you, it's not like a bunch of no-name products that the company threw in just to make it look like they had products, right? I mean, we got the #1 online health and beauty for 8 years in a row now as of this recording. 8 straight years, right? I mean, that's an accomplishment if you think about that. Our beauty and skincare line, the Artistry line, is one of the top 5 in the entire world. Comparable to Estee Lauder, Lancome, I mean, high-quality cosmetics and skincare line. And for those you know, Artistry has been the official sponsor for the Miss America beauty pageant now for 2 years in a row, and it continues on that we have the Miss America herself travels all over the country, which represents our line. We have a distribution rights to one of the top consumed energy drinks in all of North America. You know, energy drinks are a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you have exclusivity to one of the top ones that are out there right now, right? We own the #1 health and vitamin supplement in the world. #1, not maybe 2.5, #1 in the world. And the Nutrient line, many of you know, is used by many, many Olympic athletes, which swear by our product line because it's plant-based. Products are manufactured all from certified organic farms. Okay? So does that sound like an illegal cash-only pyramid scam to you? So we're not illegal, folks, according to the FTC, because we've got none of those parameters of an illegal pyramid. So the next time someone, when you're showing the plan or you bring up this business opportunity and they say to you, is this one of those illegal pyramids? What you need to do is you need to start laughing hysterically because you know that they have no idea what they're talking about, right? They just revealed their IQ. Bottom line, Amway is not an illegal pyramid. Objection number 3. I'm not a salesman or I'm not a salesperson. I can't sell. Have you guys ever come across that one? And here's what I ask them. I said, what do you mean? See, folks, a lot of people will give you an answer without thinking about the next step is clarifying what they mean, right? So what do you mean? And usually they'll say, well, I don't want to go door to door and try to sell to all my friends. And here's how I answer. Neither do I. I wouldn't go door to door. Like, what do you want to do? Go knock on the door? Hello, you know. I barely spoke English when I started this business. So not only will I not go door to door, neither should you. But you know why most people say that, folks? It's not because that they don't like to sell. Think about it. If everyone had something that they really believed in, they would love to sell it. It's because they don't want to be rejected if they try to sell something. No one likes rejection, okay? And because no one likes rejection, let's solve that. And here's how you solve it. First of all, your best customer in your own business is you, right? Could you sell yourself something? You aren't going to reject yourself, are you? Because if you aren't going to reject yourself, the first step by selling something to yourself will prove that you don't have to have sales experience to make this business work. Because everyone could sell something to themselves. Plus, you're going to need it anyways. And I'll talk more later about support and supporting your own business, personal use, etc. But the fact is everyone can sell something to themselves. Because we know this, if you're passionate about a product, you're going to promote it, right? For example, if you took a natural card blocker, okay? I mean, some of you know me for years. I used to carry, well, about an extra 14 pounds more. When I was young, I was a fat little kid. During Chinese New Year, you know how you say Chinese New Year in Chinese? Right? Gong Hee Fat Choi, right? When I was a kid, I didn't hear that. I was so fat I heard, come here, fat boy. No, not Gong Hee Fat Choi. So, I had to... Card blockers, man, card blockers. So would you tell all your friends about it? For sure. Ladies, if you found an anti-aging cream that was guaranteed, would you tell other people about it? Well, maybe not the girls you're competing against, but but you would tell your loved ones, right? Well, of course you would. And you know what? That's no different than you going seeing a good movie or eating at a nice restaurant and you telling all your friends about it. That's about the extent of selling that you're going to be doing. Because if you're passionate, you love a product you have access to, why wouldn't you do that? Okay? And then once you do that, you teach others to do the same thing. And a lot of you don't realize this, and a lot of people don't realize, but every day, folks, they are selling something at one point or another. When you're at work, guys, and you married your wife, there's some incredible salesmen here in this room. You did a sell job. But on top of all that, remember, we're running a web-based business. In actual fact, you don't even have to see a live person in order to sell a ton of products nowadays. Because so many people now communicate through email, through texting, through the internet. And so selling your product online by directing traffic to your own website is more popular now than ever before. You know, every platinum that I know generates thousands of dollars in sales, and none of them go knocking door to door. How many of you guys in this room here even really know someone who goes knocking door to door? Right? One person. Know someone knocking door to door. Okay? And that's it. Of a room of what? 8,000 people. So whether you have a sales background or not, it really doesn't matter. Because if you look at some of the most successful leaders in our organization, folks, they do not have a sales background. We got bartenders like Matt Saruda. We've got ex-NFL football players like Tracy Eaton. We've got physiotherapists like Howie Danzik. We've got waitresses at a Denny's restaurant like Georgia Lee Pereira. You got Theron Nelson, who was an optometrist. You got the Duncans, Brad, who was in construction. Greg, who was a medical student. Dave Severin was an accountant. Ron Pereira was an accountant. Excuse me, where are all the salespeople? Right? I mean, where are all the salespeople? None of those really sold, in a sense, as far as professional selling. So much for having to be a salesperson to be successful. The only thing you need to do is learn how to sell to yourself and teach that to other people. And by having your own web-based business right now, folks, we had people logging onto our website, buying hundreds of dollars. We didn't even know who they were. Okay? I mean, what an amazing business this is. So, objection 3, you don't have to be a you don't have to be a salesperson to make this business work. Okay, objection number 4. I don't know enough people to make this business work for me. I don't know enough people. I'm new here. I just moved here. I don't speak English. Whatever. Well, let me share something with you, okay? And this is one of those secrets that you're going to find out that you never thought was true until now. Until you're exposed to it. And here it is. In most cases, the people that you know are not the ones that are going to support you. How do you like that? And I know what you're thinking. You're going, oh, no, Dan, you don't know my friends. These are my friends. And I go, no, you don't know your friends or family until you give them an opportunity to support you. Right? And it's crazy, right? And I don't know why, folks, but we live in a society, our Western society seems like there's this unwritten, unspoken rule that says, never support your family or your loved ones or your friends. Always support a stranger. I mean, isn't it amazing why that is? And that's not in all cultures. But how many of you have a realtor in your family? Did you buy your house through a realtor family member? No, right? No. You didn't buy your house for them. You would never use your own family realtor. Because you couldn't stand thinking about paying them the commission. Any of you have a family member who sells life insurance? Did you buy a life insurance policy from them? No. Right? And maybe there might be a case you would have, but in most cases the answer is no. Folks, I rest my case. We live in a society, and I don't have the answer why. It is proven that most of your friends and family members will not support you in your business endeavors. They will not support you. They will support someone else. As a matter of fact, on the contrary, you're going to find out they're going to be the most critical and judgmental towards you. And if you don't believe me, invite them to the plan tonight at 7 p.m. Just invite your friends and family members over to a house plan or to a business plan and see how many of them show up. Let alone support you 100% in the business. Now, there are exceptions. I got to say this. There are some weird families like the Bakers and the Sarutas and the Duncans. Okay, they're kind of weird. These are families that support each other. Can you believe that? Like they care about each other. They care about their success and what they do. I mean, weird, huh? These families understand the power of working together and uplifting each other and accomplishing more as a family unit. But then we have the legacies that are passed on to the next generation. Like some of you hearing about the Felbers now passing on to that next legacy. The Nelsons now have done that also. And the Preers, of course, have now done that. And the second generation, so the kids, now stand on the shoulders of their parents and carry on the legacy of this dream with what was started. And that's amazing. You don't have that at a job world. You don't have that in a career. But this business allows you to have that. Then there's the ethnic groups that do a lot better than, unfortunately, our Western society, like the Hispanics are just going nuts right now. And you know what? They support each other. The Koreans are another one. They all love to be able to buy LLC and eat kimchi together. Okay? And then you have the Indians. The Indians all support each other, it seems like. I mean, like, they understand that they can accomplish more working together as a team than trying to be on your own and doing something for yourself. And so I commend all those ethnic groups that understand supporting each other. Where us Westerners are all fighting and standing on ourselves and going to prospect strangers. So if you're a family member listening to this, here's the deal, folks. It's not whether you know a lot of people or not, because that really doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, not knowing a lot of people is a good thing. Because you're going to get less judgments on you and less criticism. So I want you to think of all the people that you don't know. This list is huge. As a matter of fact, is limitless. It's probably over 5.5 billion people on your list of people you don't know. So whether you just moved here from another city or another country, whether you're a little short in the friend department, or you're living the life of a hermit, it doesn't matter whether you know a lot of people or not, okay? You don't have to know a lot of people in order to make this business work. And if I look at our business today, of the thousands and thousands of people that have come in our business in the last 20 years, I only knew a handful of those people. The majority of them are all strangers, and great friendships that I built today that are even closer than my original friends, I did not know before I started this business, okay? So, for objection number 4, that you don't know a lot of people, you don't have to know a lot of people. Objection number 5. The products are too expensive. Well, I've heard that one many times. Well, are they? And the answer is of course not. Our products are completely competitively priced. Amway is on the verge of surpassing $10 billion in annual sales, folks. Do you think they achieved this accomplishment by overpricing all their products? I mean, think about that. Amway Corporation running almost $10 billion for 50 years they've been in business, growing almost every single year. Do you think they did this by ripping people off? So either people don't know what they're talking about, or this company is doing an absolutely tremendous job pricing their products very well. Okay? On the contrary, what I tell people, not only are they competitively priced, but I can show you how you can actually save money. We have cost comparison sheets that will show you how and where you're going to save money in many different categories. But the reason why you might hear that our products are more expensive is because in most cases, people don't compare apples to apples, right? They do a cross comparison. For example, if someone compared our 60-day supply of supplements compared to a 30-day supply in the stores, then that wouldn't be accurate, right? But that's exactly what they do. You know, they look at something and do a quick comparison. They think, oh, your prices are too expensive. And they don't really do the due diligence of actually checking it out. In addition to saving money, what I tell people all the time, they also get paid back from shopping from themselves. I don't know if you understand how that works. It's called a bonus check. But people have to be educated to get to that level to understand that. And so you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure how you save money. We just have to explain to you in a simple basis that you want to pay less, you want to save money, then you learn how to buy from your own business. And the more volume you generate, the bigger you actually get. And how I was able to build the business that I was able to walk away from my job at 29 years old, folks, was because I'd replaced my income at a full-time job, right? And if you do the research, you're going to find out that our exclusive product line that you're going to have access to are a lot more superior in quality than anything that's really even sold out there. Because if you look at what Amway's done, Amway's got one of the very first companies to introduce biodegradable products into the marketplace. Now that so many companies and people and organizations are all opting for green because finally now they figured out opting for green is the cool thing. What you should know is that Amway was one of the very first ones to receive the coveted United Nations Environment Program Award. Amway Corporation received that reward. If you look at our Nutrilite line, folks, it's produced from our own farms, okay, from plants that come from certified organic farms, not just organic. You know, there's a difference between a standard of organic and certified organic. Our Nutrilite line is produced from certified organic farms. Matter of fact, the process of manufacturing our product is so clean and efficient, okay, that our Nutrilite line has both the kosher and the halal seal of approval. Now, think about that. Well, guess what? You're going to have exclusivity to all of that, okay? And one more thing. On top of everything I just said about how great these products are, how exclusive they're going to be to you, all of our products have one more benefit that's included in the price. And you know what that is? Is opportunity. The opportunity to be in business for yourself. The opportunity to help others and give them an opportunity to help others. The opportunity for you to create an additional income stream for you and your family on an infinite basis. The opportunity to have tax breaks because you're a proprietor and you're a business owner. The opportunity to create total financial security and create a financial fortress for not only you, and create a legacy for the family members that are coming behind you. Folks, when was the last time you walked into a supermarket and all that was included in the price of the product that you bought? You see, when my dad came over from his home country of China, and I have to say China because people listening to this don't know that I'm Chinese. Hello. Don't speak English. He bought his first house in Canada for $10,300. Okay, that was in 1962, and that in today's equivalent, that same house, by the way, I had a chance to actually drive by, and the new owners who just bought it, okay, told me they just paid $780,000 for the same house my dad bought for $10,300. But if we go back when my father first came over, the house he lived in his village in China was worth about $900. So that means he came to Canada and spent 11 times more for housing, for food, for clothing. He didn't have to do that. He could have stayed on the farm and worked in the rice paddies and had a simple life his whole life. But you know why he came over to this country and he did that? Because the price of the house in North America and the food and the clothing and everything else that he paid 11 times more for came with a benefit. Okay? And that benefit is not included in China. He didn't have that same opportunity there. And that's what it was. He had the opportunity that if he knew that he came here to Canada and paid the price, he would have had the opportunity for his family. So we got the benefit from that. I stand in front of all of you thousands of people, okay, having an opportunity to share a dream. If my dad did that, I'd be sitting in some little rice paddy counting rice, I mean, that would be horrible. Could you imagine Sandy wearing a rice hat, squatting in the rice field? Sandy takes an hour to cook minute rice. So, to answer your objection, are the products too expensive? The answer is absolutely not. When you look at all the benefits that you get back, you will actually come out ahead buying our products as opposed to keep doing what you're doing. Objection number 6. I'm the type of person who does it 100%, or I won't do it all. These are 100% people. Everything they do is 100%. Okay? Well, this is where this business is quite unique. Okay? Because it's not the type of business where you can actually give it 100% right away. Everyone has these bad habits, go eating, wearing clothes, mortgage payments. You got to work to survive. So you can't give up everything and give this business 100%. Here's what we're looking for. We're looking for individuals who are ready and who are open to diversify what they do for a living. But we only need a part-time commitment. So tell me this. Even if you can't give this business 100%, your goal is still to improve your future, isn't it? Your goal is still to make your financial future better, isn't it? And if they say no, then move on to the next person. Don't argue. Don't argue with someone. It's like talking to a wall. You're wasting your time, right? I mean, no, I don't want to improve my future. No, I don't want to make more money to help my family. I mean, then they're not looking, move on. But if they say yes, okay, here's what you need to do. Then you ask them a simple question. Then wouldn't it make sense to start doing something now or start something sooner than later, even if you can't give it 100%? Even if you can't afford to invest 10, 12 hours a week, then let me ask you this. What can you give it? Can you spare 2 hours a week? Because even putting in 2 hours a week towards your future goal is still better than doing nothing at all. It's kind of like working out. Even a bad workout at the gym is better than no workout at all. Because we all have 24 hours in a day, remember? No more, no less. Whether you're Greg Duncan, you're Bill Gates, or whoever you are, we all have the same amount of time. So the question is really this. If you're truly an individual who gives it 100% in everything that you do, then wouldn't you want to give everything, every chance that you have in the little bit of time that you have to make it better for your future? Because if you're really giving your job or your career 100% in everything that you do, okay, then in all reality, this is what it means. It obviously means you don't have time to watch TV, do you? You don't have time to Google and surf on the internet for hours every week, do you? You don't have time to play on the computer on your computer games all through the night, do you? If you're that committed 100%, then I'll bet you if we broke down your 24-hour time clock, I'll bet you got some time that you can invest into your future. Because we all go through three stages in life, folks. We learn, we earn, and we yearn. And most of us are in our earning years right now, and you have to remember this, okay? We only have so many earning years to give it 100%. And so the thing that you've chosen right now to give 100% to, it better be the right one. Because if it's not, you're going to find yourself in the latter part of your life yearning for a lot more than you expected. And here's what I tell you to do. Whatever you do right now for a living, when you say, well, I'm committed 100%, whatever you're doing as a job or a career, 100% that you're giving that, you don't have the time to look at anything else, folks. Find someone who's been in that career, that job, 10, 15, 20, 30 years longer than you, and see what kind of life they're living, because that's exactly where you're heading. I worked at, as you know, as Rogers Cell Phone now, like the Rogers Cable, Rogers Cell Phone Company now. Back then it was Cantel, okay? And I went to a company event, and they were rewarding employees who'd been with the company for X number of years. The grand finale of them all, there was a guy who had been with Rogers Cable for 25 years. Okay? That's a quarter of a century. And when they had him up on stage, I thought they were going to bring out like a suitcase of money. You know what they gave him? A gold pen and pencil set to write out his will. I sat in that audience going, wow, I've only been with this company for 4 years. I can't wait for another 21 more years to get my gold pen and pencil set that I have to buy my own ink replacements to when it runs out. I mean, like, what's at the end of the rainbow for you doing what you're doing? So ask yourself, okay, are you really willing to give just that one thing 100%? So giving 100%, we all have the same amount of time, folks. What you need to do is make sure you invest it in the right time. Okay, and I think the last objection we're going to cover here today is number 7, the hidden objection. Now, this is a 2-part objection, so it's kind of 2 in here, but I call it the hidden objection because this is where your prospect gets back to you and says, "Oh, I'll pass. I'm not interested." Okay? But they don't really give you a reason why. You ever had that before? You know, one time I remember to go pick up an information system that I left there, and they left it on the front door with a screwdriver stuck in the side of it. Lucky it wasn't a chopstick, because I know it would have been a Chinese gang in that case, right? So this is where they get back to you and they say, it's not for me. I'll pass. I'm not interested. So you know what I do? I'll ask, really? Why? I want to know why. If anything, I want to know why they're not interested. You know, a lot of corporations today now not only have an interview to hire employees, but they have something called an exit interview. When employees leave a company, not when they get fired, when they choose to leave on their own, they do an exit interview and they ask questions why they're leaving because they want to find out how to improve the company or what it is. So when I show someone the plan and they say, "Well, I'm not interested," I want to find out, really, why? Did I do a really bad plan? Right? You know, and so I kind of want to know. So I'll ask, really, why? And usually they give me an answer, it's just not for me. And then I'll pursue it. I'll say, like, what's not for you? But I'm asking in a really curious way, like not a challenging way in this case, like I really want to know. So I'll say, really? Like, what's not in it for you? I'm not sure what you mean. Okay, now remember, 2 out of 3 times, the first objection is not the real one. Remember that, okay? So whatever answer they give you, you got a 66% chance they're lying to you. So you have to ask again. Statistically, you don't want to rely on just that first objection. So if they say, "Well, I'm too busy, I don't have the time," that's not the real objection. So you know, I can understand that. I'm a really busy person too. But in addition to that, is there anything else that you don't see it for you? And whatever answer they give you, I'll ask even a 3rd time. Okay? And try to find out what the real reason is. But through experience, the majority of the time when I get an unknown objection, when they say something like, "I'm not interested," or "it's not for me," it always boils down to one of 2 things. And here they are. Number 1, they read something negative on the internet. Number 2, they're worried about what their friends think, or they talked to a friend and family member and got some negative feedback. Okay? Those are, I would say 90% of the time, when someone gives me an objection without real explanation, which I call the hidden objection, is because it's one of those 2 things. So you know what I do? I address it right away. I call them on it. So I'll say, "Did you speak to someone who had a bad experience?" Or, "Hey, Joe, did you read some misleading negative stuff online?" And I say it in a tone like, "You dummy, did you read something that you believed in?" You know what I mean? And if it's either one of them, when you call someone on it, you know how, have you ever gotten a discussion with someone and you lied, and they knew you were lying, and they called you on it, and you know how you kind of got caught up, you know? No, I've never felt that, but I've heard that before. But here's the deal. It's the exact same on this. When you call it on the reason why, "Hey, did you speak to someone negative, someone who was negative about? Did you get some negative feedback, or did you read something negative online?" And when I ask them that, you know what? Their body language is going to tell you right away if it's one of those 2 things. Like, they'll hum and haw. They don't have an answer right away, or they'll, they will pause is what they'll do. Okay, because you called it. One guy came out and just said, well, yeah. What would my friends think if they found out I was doing something like that? They were worried about what their friends think. And you know what, folks? I know this is a real objection. This is a real concern a lot of people have, because we're very, very vain, a lot of us, and a lot of us are very insecure in what other people think of us. And in most cases, if you look at our population, that is a real deal. You know, why do people try to impress people all the time? Why do people care what they look? Why do people care what other people think of them? So it's a real thing. So I know that this is a real situation for a lot of people when they say, "Well, what would my friends think?" So I'll ask a question that will kind of give them a wake-up call. in a nice but firm way, and I'll say, can I ask you, why do you actually care what your friends think so much? Okay? Like, do they pay your cell phone bill? Are they going to cover your car payment at the end of the month? Are they putting money towards your kids through college in the future? Are they going to help you with your outstanding credit card balances at the end of the month? Because, you know what, Joe, if the answer is no, then why do you even care what they think? Right? If you're so concerned about what your friends are thinking, let me give you a tip. If you're a person who will march to the beat of your own drum and do something different from everyone else there, I will promise you deep down, they really respect you for stepping out and doing something different. Do you respect a follower or do you respect a leader? Right? I mean, at the time when someone steps out, it could be uncomfortable. It could be out of the ordinary. But you know, anytime you put your hand, rub your hand against the grain of wood, you might get a sliver. You stick your head above the crowd, you might get a tomato in the face. Right? Doing the opposite of what most people do sometimes can be a little uncomfortable, but in actual fact, folks, most people respect that. Most people respect someone for doing something different than just doing what everyone else does. You know why the younger generation today hang out in groups, you guys? They always have to have their friends. They always want to get around their friends. They crave respect and the feeling of belonging is what they do. Well, you want respect? March to the beat of your own drum. Be the leader, don't be the follower. I remember a friend who I showed the plan, who never got in, was actually negative at the time, said to me years later, he said this, he says, Dan, even though it wasn't right for me at the time when you showed me this Amway business, he said, I got to tell you that I actually really respected you for doing something different than our whole group of friends that just did the same thing. And he said, and you stuck with it. And I've heard that actually several times now, that when you stick with something, people will respect you for it. I ran into this gal who was in our business in depth years ago. And I ran into her in the Safeway just last week. And I almost couldn't remember her name. I saw her face and I said, like this. And she goes, She goes, Chinese Amway guy. She said. And I said, Caucasian woman who drives a Nissan. Anyways, she says, are you still doing that Amway thing? And I said, I am. And she says, oh, thank God you stuck with it because I need water filters. So it was so funny, right? But she says, you know, I respect you so much for saying, because you know what? So many people have come and gone. I can't even find filters to replace my filter, she says, right? And it's something as little as that, you know, that people are going to respect you for sticking with it, okay? And I tell you that last year I got this call from an old schoolmate, okay? And he was from my graduating class that I sponsored many years ago. He got involved in the business and he eventually had quit. Well, he was in charge of our 30-year high school grad reunion. All right? But he had a problem. The problem was he needed to book a venue for the event, which required a $2,000 deposit to hold the room right here at the River Rock. Okay? Of the whole graduating class, no one could come up with the money to put for the deposit on the room for our 30-year reunion. You believe it? So he said, so I decided to call the Amway guy. You believe it? Now, of course, I was more than happy to help out, okay? And I know, here's what he was thinking when he was talking to me. He says, you know, Dan, I can't believe out of our entire graduating class of all the different professions and the careers that our classmates pursued, that you're the only one who could come up and willing to help us out. And he said, and Dan, you don't worry, we will pay you back. What he said. When they paid me back, the check bounced. Right, hon? Twice the check bounced. Now, was I upset? No, not at all. You know why? Because after 3 decades, if this Amway business put me in a better financial situation than my entire graduating class that had been in the workforce for all those years, I'm sure glad I didn't care what my friends thought when I started this business. Right? You know what? I think we give too much credit to what others think anyways. Right? The first mistake that we make is we assume that our friends do think. Because while most of you are thinking of them thinking of you, they're too busy thinking of themselves and their own problems and what you're thinking of them. Because most of your friends, folks, have so much stuff going on in their lives. The last thing that they are worried about is whether you got involved in the Amway business or not. I mean, most people have so many financial problems, relationship problems, work problems, health problems. You think they're sitting at home thinking of you all the time? Let me give you a tip. You're not that important for them to think of you all the time. Plus, most of us are so vain, like I said earlier, that they're way more occupied in themselves. Let me give you an example. If I stood up here and had a wide-angle lens and took a picture of all of you here in this room, and as you left the room here tonight, you got a copy, a print of the picture from this angle of seeing all your faces. When you get that picture in your hand, who's the first person you're going to look for first? You vain, conceited IBOU. No one's thinking about you. The person sitting beside you ain't thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. Okay? So don't worry about what people think. So live up to your expectations, not others. Don't worry about what other people want you to be or expect you to be. My mom wanted me to become a doctor, but I didn't have the patience. So don't worry about if your friends aren't positive or supportive. Just remember this. If your friends or even family members don't live the life that you want, then remember they can never teach you how to achieve it. A family member who only makes $30,000 a year can't teach you to be financially independent within 5 years. You know, for years I already talked about my grandmother, who unfortunately has now passed away, but she was almost 90 years old, right? She knew nothing about finances. She knew nothing about really much. You know, I love playing basketball, many of you know. My grandmother knew nothing about basketball. She can't help my jump shot, right? Ping pong, yes, but not basketball. So why would I go to my grandmother or any family member on any topic if they haven't mastered it themselves? You got to go where the people who are living the lifestyle and have the fruit on the tree. So before you get all hung up on what your friends and family members might think, folks, just use your common sense. There's a saying that says people who say it can't be done should get out of the way of the people who are doing it. Right? But what if it's your wife? What if it's your wife? And I've had, in all my career in this business, I've heard 4 times, my wife won't let me do it. I go, really? How big is your wife? Like, does she know Kung Fu? Does she know karate? My wife, Sandy, she knows crazy. And I built it anyways. So, but when someone says that, in all reality, there's more to meet the eye. Okay? It's usually one of 2 things. When a man will say, my wife won't let me do it, here's what it means. Either the husband has been all talk his entire life and never carried through on anything he's ever started, or she wears the pants. Right? So, if it's the first reason, let me say this. I'll tell the guy, when he tells me that, I will call him on it. I'll say, have you tried other things before that you didn't carry through on? Hey, when a man hears that from another man, ooh, it's like, but you know what? Hey, I'm kind of the no-nonsense kind of guy, right? Is something that did you try something like this before and you never finished it? Right? So I tell the guy, I says, here's the opportunity for you to prove yourself to your wife. Okay? Quit flapping your lips, guys, and create some kind of financial security in your marriage so that your wife doesn't have to go out and take charge of it. Now, I don't say that to the person. I'm telling you that. But the person listening to this is going to hear it. Remember, the only reason why a wife would not support her husband in something that will improve the family's financial future is because she doesn't believe he's going to do it. So if you guys ever get the objection, my wife won't let me do it, It's an opportunity for you to tell the person or to share with the person, you got an opportunity to prove yourself. Okay? And by the way, let me ask you this. If you have a negative spouse, because you're going to come across people who one's positive, one's negative. Here's my question. If you were to make $2,000, that's it, $2,000 net dollars cash every single month from this business, would that negative spouse still be negative? I mean, think about it. So if you know of anyone who's got a spouse who's negative, husband or wife, it doesn't matter, and they're negative, but you started making $2,000 of net profit every month, would that spouse be negative? And if you're listening to this, if you're negative, would you still be negative if you're supposed to be making $2,000 a month? The answer probably is no, right? So here's my question to you. Does that mean you're going to take advice from someone who could be bought for just $2,000? Think about it. If all it takes is for $2,000, hey guys, gals, every one of you can create $2,000 in retail profit if you wanted to. You see, taking financial advice from a family member who is as broke as you is financial disaster. It is. But I want you all to know, to clarify, in my marriage, I wear the pants. Right, honey? Sandy picks the color, but I get to wear the pants. I'm the man. I heard one just read, this is a good one. I showed the plan to a guy about our 2 to 5 year plan, told him financial security. Here's his answer to me. He says, Dan, I'm okay. I said, really? How come? He said, I have a big life insurance policy set up for my family, so I don't need to diversify. And I said, really? Have you ever read the fine print on what it takes to cash in on the policy? He looks at me like deer in headlights. I said, you have to die first. Die. Sir, you have to die before your family will ever see a penny. It just tells you common sense isn't common. Can you imagine actually saying that? Well, my family's going to be okay. I got a big life insurance policy. Yeah, but you're dead. Your wife is going to be spending the money with Sammy Surfer. But that objection, people say that, that proves there's people who don't use common sense, okay? Like Bill Hawkins said for years, of all the people out there, there's 10% protons, 20% neutrons, and 70% morons. And you're going to come across those 70%. Now, I'm not here to knock anyone. I'm just saying in general, common sense is not... Why is there a 95% dead or broke by age 65 years old? Why is that? Because people don't use common sense. Part 2 of the unknown objection is they read something negative online. So the first one is talking or worried about what their family members think or friends think. So part number 2 of the unknown objection is reading something negative on the internet. Okay? Here's what I say to them. I said, hey, Joe. And by the way, folks, if your name's Joe, I'm just using that as a... Okay, let me read it. Hey, Chan. Do you believe everything that you read online? I mean, think about that question. That's a good question. Sometimes, well, did you read something? Yeah, I read this and this. And I'll say, hey, do you believe everything that you read online? Or do you actually check out the source of who's writing the article? Like, is it even a legitimate reference? Because the internet is the bathroom wall of society. Anyone can put anything that they want on. You know that? Like a crazy person on Hastings Street can create a blog and write. You would never know. You wouldn't, right? And you're reading something, and that's the advice you're going to take? Then someone who's willing to invest their time and money come into your home and help you build a business, you're going to take advice off of something you read off the internet? Because if you believe and follow everything and anything you read online without the proper research of the source, you're going to make some regrettable decisions. Because you got to remember, negative news sells. In the newspaper, on the radio, on television, negative news sells. And you can find almost anything negative online if you wanted to. There's a lot more negative online than there is positive. For example, I typed in Mother Teresa negative websites. 447,000 negative websites on Mother Teresa. We have a dog, one of our dogs, named Max. So I typed in negativity for Max. 9.8 million negative websites. Type in the word kitty cat, 14.7 million negative websites. If you know that someone has read something negative online, I explain how virtually everything will have some sort of negative website. Type in the company you work for and see what you find out. I'm telling you, if you think Amway has negative online, okay, or Worldwide has something negative online, then you're going to be surprised by the results that you're going to find out about about the employer that you work for. Let me give you some other example. I typed in Costco. Okay, there's 5 times more negative websites on Costco than there is in Amway Corporation. Disneyland, 10 times more negative websites. Kentucky Fried Chicken. I like Kentucky Fried Chicken. 11 times more negative websites. Federal Express, 15 times more. The Bible has 78 times more negative websites than Amway Corporation. Microsoft has 86 times more, and UPS has 93 times more. So I typed in my own name. I have 116 times more negative websites than Amway Corporation. 116 times more negative websites about me than the Amway Corporation, okay? But here's the granddaddy of them all. Google. The website that you went to type it in to find out negative stuff, Google has 225 times more negative websites than Amway Corporation. 225 times more negative on Google. So if you read something negative on Amway and you say something like, well, I don't want anything to do with it because I read some negative stuff on it, then you know what that means? Does that mean you'll never walk into a Costco again and buy those little jalapeno pepper poppers? That you'll never go to Disneyland with your kids and family members or friends because you believe some negative article that you read online? That you'll never eat at Kentucky Fried Chicken, ship a package through UPS or Federal Express, never use a PC with a Windows platform, or ever believe anything ever that you read in the Bible ever again? Hello, McFly. Like, what's the matter with you? Or for you Asians, what's the matter with you? Be a man. A matter of fact, if you're that adamant about not having anything to do with any negative you read online, then think about this. With 225 times more negative websites than Amway, you should never, ever use Google to search for anything ever again. Ever. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Because if you know these facts, as I share with you right now, and you still are persuaded by some negative stuff that you read online, then you know what? You don't qualify to be an IBO in this business, and you need to go out and stay at your job. So let me conclude with this. As long as there is free speech, you'll always hear other people's opinions. Objections are a part of life, not just a part of this business. Okay? You're going to face it all the time. And most people don't have a clue what this Amway Corporation is all about. All they know is hearsay. Okay? Just use your common sense. Think about this. If this company has been around for 50 plus years, over half of a century, running almost $10 billion, they got to be doing something right. Okay? At almost $10 billion, the Amway Corporation is one of the largest privately owned companies in all of North America. So next time someone tells you something like, Amway, isn't that little rinky-dinky soap company? This is when you sit back and laugh again as loud as you can, because you know that person knows absolutely nothing about nothing. So let's wrap up. It's not if, but when you're going to face objections. Remember this. If you're willing to listen to what that person has to say when they object and answer accordingly, you're going to earn their respect. You never take an objection personally. The people you prospect obviously think they know more than you, which in most cases they do not. And 62% of the time, you're not even going to get the real objection in the first place. So ask again. So you don't have to sponsor everyone you show the plan to. There's just going to be some people who are not interested in anything that requires effort and commitment. So just go ahead and look for those people who are willing. I hope what I share with you today is going to help you enjoy your prospecting without fear and not knowing what to say when you hear an objection. You don't be afraid of them. Grasp them, take them head on, and stand up for what you believe in. Remember, your success in this business is not accomplished by who you are or how you look or who you know. It's how you react when you come across an objection. Because I personally believe there is not a better opportunity out there that require so little investment, with so little risk, with the greatest return on the time and the money that you invest in. So let's go out there and look for those people who are passionate, who are open and willing to diversify, and let's get this business built. Love you guys all, and let's get this thing done.
The success depicted may reflect income from sources other than Amway, such as earnings from the sale of professional development materials or other businesses or investments. For existing IBOs only, not for use with prospects. While the techniques and approaches suggested here have worked for others, no one can guarantee they will work for you. We believe that the ideas presented here will help you in developing a strong and profitable business. We also want to emphasize that success is not achieved in this business or any business without considerable effort. The views expressed herein are those of the speaker alone and do not necessarily reflect the views of Worldwide Group or Amway. Worldwide Group is an optional training and support system designed to help you build your independent business powered by Amway.